All right. What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining us live on YouTube. I am Brett McMillin, a designer advocate here at Figma. I am so stoked to be joined by Hugh, Dara, and Deric, part of the product and engineering folks on the Figma Make team, as well as our friend Jeremy from Anthropic. Okay, story of the day. Today, Anthropic just announced their latest model, Claude Sonnet 4.5, which we are rolling out in Figma Make. Now, I've been playing with it in such a short amount of time I've had with it. I'm impressed, very excited to see some of the improvements in such a short amount of time I've been messing with it. My one-shot prompt design outputs are better. The way it reasons through updates better. The improvements are pretty obvious to me, but what better way to celebrate than chat with this crew and talk about what went down behind the scenes to get things launched. So I just want to do a quick roundtable introductions. Jeremy, why don't you kick us off?
Hi. Hi, all. Yeah, so excited. We love collaborating with Figma at Anthropic, and we were so happy to launch Sonnet 4.5 with y'all. I'm Jeremy. I am a member of technical staff at Anthropic, and I work on our applied AI team. And I also work with our research product team to help launch and understand our new models.
Nice. All right, let's pass it over to Hugh.
Hey, I'm Hugh, product manager at Figma. Been working on AI for a number of years. This is an exciting time to see how these revolutionary models are able to improve Figma Make and all the other AI products that we have here at Figma. So I'm just here along for the ride. Deric and Dara are the real geniuses behind the scenes.
Okay, that said, let's go to the geniuses. Dara, you're up first.
Thanks, Brett. I'm Dara. I'm a product engineer at Figma, and I don't know if I call myself a genius, but I do work on Figma Make. I'm really excited to be here to talk about the new Sonnet model.
Cool. And Derek, round us out.
Yeah, thanks, Brett. And I also don't know if I call myself a genius necessarily, but yeah, really excited about Sonnet 4.5 and yeah, very excited to talk about our updates.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I'm stoked to have you all here. Thanks for making the time to come together on this. I know we do only have a short amount of time, so let's get right into it. The new model, Claude 4.5, Sonnet 4.5. What have we seen with output testing? Where have we seen this excel? Jeremy, maybe kick it to you first.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so, we've seen Sonnet 4.5 excel across a bunch of different areas. I think the overall theme is that it is the best model in the world for real world AI agents. What does it take to be a real world AI agent? I think one important thing is that it can run autonomously. It can use tools on its own. It can complete what we call long horizon tasks, which are just tasks that take a lot of time or a lot of tokens. So Sonnet 4.5 is leading on long-running autonomous coding. It can implement entire applications over time. It's great for real-world agents of all kinds, from customer support to coding agents to even voice agents. It's great for complex knowledge work. So, for example, it's leading on Excel benchmarks. It's able to create working spreadsheets, modify spreadsheets, create Excel models. It's great for professional outputs. For example, in Claude.ai, you can use it with our new file creation analysis tool to modify files, create Word documents, create all kinds of professional outputs. It's also great at what we call context awareness and context management. Context awareness means the model's sort of ability to manage its own context, to understand how much context it has remaining, how many tokens it has remaining in the context window, and to sort of persist till the very end, and to be sort of maximally efficient in using those tokens. We've launched a new feature called context awareness that we've rolled out with this model. And we also have some API features for context management to make it easier for AI engineers to essentially efficiently use the tokens they have with this model. A few other areas I'd call out. One is browser use and computer use. This model is a pretty significant leap in computer use. It's state of the art on the OS World benchmark. And in our testing with Claude for Chrome and other computer use applications, it can complete entire tasks without needing an API or anything else, and just use the browser like a human would. And finally, it's great at agentic search and research. It can find the information it needs, use web search tools very well. And it's leading across all kinds of customer evals, as well as the benchmarks that we publish in our launch blog. Generally, I think this model also has the favorite personality of a lot of people at Anthropic. It has sort of great vibes. It's more conversational. It seems better at following instructions. And we also think it's our most aligned and safest model yet.
Rad. We love great vibes. Hugh, how do we see those things coming to life over on the Figma side with Figma Make?
Yeah, so we've been playing with it a bunch. I mean, Dylan released a video about him essentially staying up until the middle of the night playing with it to create a whole bunch of new cool tools in Figma Make. At least from what I've seen, it's been an improvement in a number of different ways across the product. So I will say personally, what we call the 0 to 1, the first prompt, I'm seeing greater creativity in terms of what it generates. Deric and Dara know, could joke maybe about some of the older models from Anthropic and other companies of like, oh, we know exactly what model this is based on exactly what design it provided. We're seeing much more creative generations with this new model. Additionally, even after that first turn, the ability to add functionality to Figma, to different Fig makes is amazing. You can just say, oh, bring that settings page to life, or add a certain functionality to a button, and the model knows what to do. Gone are the days of having to prescribe with 2 sentences exactly what a specific button or page you're supposed to do within Figma Make. You can just prompt it and it will go. And then to Jeremy's point, it's been showing great ability to handle longer running tasks over maybe a couple dozen, maybe even 100 different prompts where you might be iterating with it. And we're already seeing some of that improved ability for context management in our very, very early testing. So don't have maybe stat sig numbers on this yet, but we're already seeing drops in error rates, big drops in self-healing rates, which means the model honestly just makes less mistakes and is able to keep users in the flow as they continue to iterate. And we're hoping that translates into better user experiences as well.
Yeah, I've definitely felt that. And again, the short time that I've been able to kind of play around with it. But so obviously new model gets released, new iteration of models get released. What is the flow? This is kind of a flow that we're going to have to get used to, right? Always new models, always new models. How do we, on the Figma side, evaluate models to use in our different product? I don't know,
Yeah, that's a
Deric,
really
maybe.
good
Yeah.
question. Yeah, that's a really good question, Brett, and I can take a stab here. So, as a research engineer at Figma, a lot of my time is spent like evaluating these models, and we do a lot of different kind of evals. So we'll start with offline with some data sets that we've curated, and then maybe we'll do some internal vibe checking. We do a lot of this actually, and then we kind of move on to online with real users where we can A/B test a lot of different setups against old models or like different models, right? We also take a lot of time to carefully build data sets that evaluate the more Figma specific things that we care about these models performing well at. For example, how well does the model react to importing a Figma design and iterating top of that model, right? And as with any new model, we're kind of focusing on things like regressions on the things that matter most to our users. But we're also keeping an eye out for any new features that are maybe unlocked as a result of a model expanding its capabilities.
Yeah, I'll just +1 to what Deric said. And like one of the really challenging things actually with evaluating both existing and new models is all the new capabilities it unlocks, all the new prompts that users might send our way. We try to maintain as thorough of eval sets as we possibly can, but the diversity of use cases that we see pop up in Fig Make, which is a testament both to our own users, but also the capabilities of Claude. It's tough to have coverage across all those. And so we try to be as expansive as possible, but sometimes you also just have to put models out there and see what people do with it.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I kind of I actually wanted to shift back over to Jeremy. I saw you come off mute, but knowing that like you put a model out there, people start using it, you see how it works, and we see how we can adapt with it. But what type of feedback does Anthropic look for from model partners, and like why is it valuable to have a model partner like Figma and have 4.5 and Make?
For sure. Yeah. I think what y'all already mentioned is sort of very similar to how we think about this. And I think Figma gives excellent feedback and is a great partner to us on this. We really want to understand how does the model perform in the real world for your product and for the things that your users care about. We're not experts on Figma. We have some great designers at Anthropic, but we're not experts on your product or how your users use it. And so we love to hear, how does this perform in the real world for your use cases? Where does it perform exceptionally well? Where do you hit limitations or unexpected behaviors? Where are things where it still struggles? And also just, we love hearing high volume sort of just behavioral differences and observations, new things you're seeing with the new model, stuff like that. I find the models extremely fascinating. They're very high dimensional objects. Really, they're, massive collections of weights, and they're, you can't really describe the model with just a benchmark or just a few words. They're almost like getting to know a new coworker in a way, where you have to understand what it's like to collaborate with a new model. Where can you trust it to be agentic, where previous models you couldn't? And where are areas where you might still need guardrails or instructions and things like that. So we love a combination of automated evals, which help us get a sense of the systematic insights. How is it quantitatively performing in a way that we can compare to previous models and say, for example, it's a 4 percentage point improvement or it's a 10 percentage point improvement. But we also really like the manual bashing, which sort of gives you a better feel for how the model works and what it's like to interact with it. And I think Figma gives a great combination of both of those kinds of feedback. We also like to really understand both how the model performs without any tweaks to your product, and also how does it perform once you've customized your product and adapted it to perform as well as possible with the new model. So, starting out, you might just drop Sonnet 4.5 into your product as just a drop-in replacement for Sonnet 4. But you will notice sometimes that the model requires different steering, or it benefits from different tools or ways of using it in your product. And so we like to hear and partner with our customers as well to optimize your products for your use case, and then see, once you have customized the product and improve your prompts, improve your tools, what unlocks next. And then finally, I think importantly, as y'all mentioned already, as you mentioned, Deric, I think it's important to understand, where is this model unlocking new use cases? We're always super stoked to hear about that. What does this model allow you to do that was not even possible before? One exciting story that we have internally is that we used Sonnet 4.5 to build an entire clone of Claude.ai, our flagship chat application, including artifacts, everything else. And this is something that previous models just couldn't do. And so this kind of thing is really exciting, and it's a unique part of building AI products and product development at the frontier, where as you test these new models, you realize that entire new product horizons are unlocked, and they're creative applications you didn't anticipate before. So we love hearing about that from customers, because that gives us a hint as to, where is this model going next for your product, and what can it unlock?
Very cool. Yeah, getting to know a new coworker. I love that analogy, and figuring out what it's good for and figuring out what it can do for us. And so we kind of touched on it, but with all the choices for models and all the different types of criteria that what makes a model successful, maybe if I can go over to Hugh, how do we here at Figma decide which models to use for what?
I mean, I'll give you a high level answer that maybe not crisply answer your question, and then Deric
Sure.
can give you more specifics. Okay, so at the end of the day, like, we want to create a magical experience for our users. But we have, as I sort of alluded to already, so many different types of users who come and use our products. It is our core base is designers, but we have PMs, we have engineers, we have data scientists, we have people outside of tech coming to use the suite of Figma products. And so we try to break it down as best we can into a couple different dimensions. The number one that Jeremy sort of alluded to is like quality. That's a very subjective term. We try to think of it in aspects like visual aesthetics, functionality. Those still have subjective nature to it. So we iterate a lot on what does the quality of these models and creations look like. More like quantitative ones are around latency. A big fun challenge for us to figure out is, what is the trade-off between users' expectation of getting a quick, immediate response versus something that is perfectly crafted exactly towards what they were looking for. So it's often something we're weighing when we pick a model and pick an implementation. And then another one that, again, sort of Jeremy alluded to, is the capabilities. What are new functionalities that these models unlock that we could consider launching? Does that come at the trade-off of quality? Is this a jack of all trades versus a model that specializes in something? These are all things that we evaluate internally, as Deric alluded to, with offline evals and testing, and then in the wild. So yeah, so again, maybe to summarize with not answering your question, like quality, speed, capabilities. There's a couple other ones, but I won't go through the full laundry list.
Yeah, I can add a bit more to that. So like everything Hugh said is exactly what we consider. Um, and one kind of specific example where we had to, evaluate all these different trade-offs was when early in the year, Claude 3.7 with extended thinking was released, right? The time to first token was higher as a result of the thinking tokens, and users might have to wait a little longer before seeing an application, but maybe that's worth it for the improved quality or the improved functionality of a web application or design.
Very cool. Jeremy, how does that like come to life on the Anthropic side as far as like what models are good for what?
Yeah, this totally resonates with us. We see a lot of our customers going through similar considerations. One thing I love about my job is I get to work with a lot of different customers across tons of use cases for models and understand how they think about it. The common trend is that it's some combination of latency, intelligence, cost, and new capabilities that it unlocks. And typically the most important thing, especially with the customers that we work with, is quality. Performance, quality, intelligence are the most important things when it comes to LLMs. And Sonnet 4.5 is our most frontier model, and it's best for a lot of use cases, especially coding and things like generating UIs and all kinds of frontier agents. That said, Sonnet 4.5 may not be the best of our models for every single use case. We recommend sort of mixing and matching and adapting your models to the application and using the right model for the task at hand. So, a lot of people still really like Opus. It has what we call big model smell, which is just like this ability to generalize to maybe unseen or unexpected use cases. And it might still outperform in some cases. And is still, an excellent model. Haiku, on the other hand, is still our fastest and most cost-effective model. And so it's great for a lot of real-time use cases, things like generating copy on the fly, responding in maybe a voice application with text-to-speech and speech-to-text, and those kinds of real-time applications. But generally, I think the considerations people think through are very similar to what Figma is thinking through here.
Right on. Cool. Okay, I'm gonna dive a little bit deeper, and I'm gonna try and keep up with y'all because y'all are definitely the key, not to reuse the term, but geniuses in this area. So a new model comes out. We've done our early assessment. It's a model we want to implement on the Figma side. What does it take to integrate a model into Figma Make?
Yeah, I can speak to that. As we've been integrating new models into Figma Make, we've really found that each model has its own strengths and weaknesses. So whenever we're releasing a new model, we always spend a lot of time carefully testing it and finding ways to tune our system prompt and our tools, etc., to really play to the model's strengths. We really want to showcase the best of the model's capabilities. That being said, over time, as we've been building Make, we've refactored it to use a flexible architecture that really adapts well to new models that are being released. So we don't need to drastically overhaul our system prompt every time a new model comes out. And this really helps us to ensure that we're providing customers with the best performing model. So as soon as new models are released, we're able to get them to customers very quickly. But of course, there's always lots of infra work to make sure that we can reliably provide new models to all of our customers. And shout out to our amazing AI infra team at Figma, who does a great job supporting us in this. At Figma, we always partner with multiple providers to make sure that we can keep Make running. Even if there are issues during a model rollout with one provider being down, we always have backup options. So you're always able to keep iterating within Make.
Cool. That's rad that there's fallback options. Not to like open any sore wounds or anything, but like, were there any technical challenges to integrating this model or models prior that you were able to kind of overcome?
Yeah, so one of the challenges of building with any AI model is that they're fundamentally non-deterministic, right? So that means that they don't always predictably produce the same outputs. And as you mentioned earlier, we really aim to test new models first with offline evals. But the best way to learn is really to give our users access to the models and see how they perform in the real world. So on any given day, we're testing out multiple different eval configurations, model configurations against each other, trying to find the one that resonates the best with our users. And the feedback that we get there is one of the primary ways that we know the model is doing something right. Sometimes the models will do things that actually really surprise us. There are certain behaviors that we'll see only once in 1,000 or even once in 10,000 sessions. And those can be some of the trickiest ones for us to debug. So like this emergent property of language models is sometimes it's really delightful. Sometimes they surprise you in really pleasant ways. And sometimes it's also really frustrating. We really work to make sure that our systems are really resilient to unexpected behavior. So Make can keep working well for our users, even if the model does make a mistake.
Yeah, and one thing I can add to that, Jeremy kind of touched on this earlier, is that the frontier models released this year have been drastically improving in their agentic capabilities. So we've had to like rework the prompts for the different tools that we provide for Make with every different model that gets released because the agents are so much better at using tools, with less guidance and maybe even, being extremely easy to guide in a certain direction.
Gotcha. Yeah. Jeremy, is this similar as far as implementing models? Like, what have you seen on the Anthropic side with how you guys support any integrations or anything like that?
Yeah, we see a lot of similar things. I think that um, testing it out with real world use cases always, comes with some surprises. I think that generally a good assumption to start out is that model behavior will change, and having a general sort of system like you've described for Figma Make that can adapt to new models fairly easily is a pretty big advantage when it comes to velocity of adapting to new models. Um, I think generally we recommend that you first try it out with your existing prompt and tools, but then once you've done that, also change your system to adapt to the new model. One thing that we've found very helpful in doing this, and that we've seen a lot of customers do as well, and I think that you have tried out too, is asking the model to critique its own approach and to even give you feedback on your own system. So I think y'all mentioned when we were talking earlier that in Figma Make, you ask the model, why are you doing these sort of unexpected behaviors, or how can we improve the tools or the prompts to steer you more effectively? And we found that this sort of self-critique has improved even more with Sonnet 4.5 to the point where, it can give really excellent actionable recommendations for how you should tweak your system to get the best performance. And the customers who get the best performance tend to do a lot of iteration to sort of ensure that the model has a good, what we call agent computer interface, which is essentially the interface between the model, the agent, and the world or your product.
Mhm.
I think another sort of thing we tend to see, like, we commonly see customers run into some technical challenges with new models just because they're fairly new systems and it's not realistic to expect a perfectly tuned system right out of the box with a new model. Often, a couple examples we've seen are that, for instance, this new model really likes to use notes in the file system to keep track of its progress over time. And so, getting the model to use these notes, encouraging it to do this, and also tuning its usage of the notes to more effectively save the context that matters for your application can get a lot more performance. Another sort of thing we've seen is that this model is great at using parallel tools. So it can use multiple tools simultaneously to accomplish the task more efficiently. But sometimes that might go a little bit too far for an application, and maybe it uses parallel tools more than you would like. But we found this to be quite steerable. So we've worked with some customers to help steer their prompts and ensure that it's not using parallel tool calls too often. So that's just a little bit of a picture into like, those are the kinds of things that often come up in these model migrations. And teams like Figma can be really excellent at transitioning quickly because they have these flexible systems, they have good evals, they work with our team closely to help optimize the model. And you treat the model as something new that you need to adapt to and sort of optimize your prompts and tools for.
Very cool. Yeah, not gonna lie, feeling like I'm drifting a little out of my depth here, but it's super interesting stuff and fascinating to me that we are, always looking at our workflows as designers or anyone using these tools to evolve our workflows alongside the capabilities that are now available to us. So it's all fascinating. So with that in mind, what do we think is next? How do we extend these models and these model upgrades and potentially have what we learn from them kind of inform where we head next? So what are we looking at, Hugh?
So I think if there's one takeaway I want users to internalize like today is that any of the gains, any of the improvements you see today, it's just the beginning. And I think that's, as Jeremy alluded, it's going to take us a while to figure out what are all the new advances and capabilities that we can unlock with this new model. If I'm being brutally honest, I think there's a bunch of latency wins. Like this new model is much better at instruction following. There's a whole bunch of like efficiency gains we can bring to users in the coming days, in the coming weeks. But that's short-term stuff. So please like stay tuned in a broader sense, if you will. But then also like I'm really excited for more agentic behaviors in the long run. And let me try to like de-hype that for a moment. I think about like being able to ingest different forms or more context. So think about rather than just ingesting a couple images or Figma nodes, uploading larger, more diverse amount of content to FigMake and then letting it run with it for longer running tasks. I'm not making any promises here in terms of feature development. This is where my head's at least as a PM. I'm thinking about larger, like longer running tasks, as Jeremy alluded to. I'm thinking about more interactive experiences, maybe where the model can come back to you with different options. User can choose from that and iterate on a more, I love the idea as like a co-partner, as a teammate, co-worker, and then giving users more creative direction in terms of where they can go. Like I'm not seeing the same like color palette every time I interact with this model as we have with like some of the older models, and so there's a lot of different directions you can take it. I don't know, maybe that's me getting a little too like outside of my own head. Dara, like if there are certain areas that you want to be thinking about that doesn't reveal our exact roadmap, by all means chime in.
No, I think you said it exactly right. I think the one thing I'm especially excited about is, Claude 4.5's new ability to gather context for itself. It's seemingly much better at doing that, proactively than reactively to what a user gives it.
Very cool. Yeah. And just kick it over to you, Jeremy. Like as you look to the future on your side, what's next from your end?
Yeah, we're excited about exploring a lot of the same things Figma is as well. This model's ability to gather context, to think more creatively, to produce more interesting UIs is also really exciting from our end. Y'all should all check out Claude.ai/Imagine, which shows this direction of models generating UI on the fly, just based on prompts. And that's just sort of one exploratory jab in that direction, that's meant to be provocative about how the future of UI generation and what things this new model can unlock. Zooming out a bit, more broadly, we expect models to keep improving. This will not be the best model Anthropic ever releases. I think that we are continuing to move along the frontier, and capabilities of these models is expected to improve fairly quickly. That said, one thing I would really like to emphasize here is that our commitment to safety and security is, of course, essential to Anthropic. And our mission is not just to build capable AI models that can unlock new things and can, produce economic value, and help as a collaborator in wide variety of use cases, but it's also to ensure that this happens safely. And so we're very proud that not only is Sonnet 4.5 our best model yet, it's also our safest model yet. We have run a wide variety of alignment and safety evals that you can look at in our model card. And Sonnet 4.5 is clearly the most aligned model we've ever trained. And we're really proud that even as we continue to push the frontier and show what is possible with these new models, we're also maintaining that commitment to safety. And this will become increasingly important as these models are integrated across the economy for real world agents, for applications like Figma Make and more. It'll become even more essential that we can actually rely on the models to remain safe and secure, even in these situations. So generally, safer and better models is the direction that we're going in the future.
Yeah.
Love hearing that. Oh, go ahead, Hugh.
Brett, I know I'm doing a lot of talking here, so interrupt me if I'm
No.
doing too much. But like just seeing some of the comments come through, I'm seeing a lot of people of our users already sort of skate to where like the puck is headed. Like I see design system concepts come up a lot. That's exactly the type of thing as sort of Deric alluded to with like broader, better context handling for the real technical users who like work with design systems at a deep level and know how much context is built up in the history of working with Figma or at their company with respect to design. Like that's a huge, rich opportunity for like this new model to be able to leverage in a smarter, more intelligent way without a user having to prescriptively telling the model, please use this component, please use this exact color. I'm really excited by the opportunity to see, like honestly, in the very near future, like 4.5 be able to leverage design systems in a way that allows it to be a much more smooth, integrated experience in our products. So yes, our use I'm maybe not exactly answering people's questions, but that is very much a way that we're headed. And I'm glad that our user base is thinking about that in very much the same way that we are.
Yeah, that's great. I love that philosophy, not just like connecting directly with what exists in our code base and everything like that, but also just being able to supply more different types of context and like making it easier for someone who might not know specifically what they want to get out of it to just be able to interact with it and have like great design output from it is really great to me. And I mean, you guys kind of touched on it a little bit, but the optimistic view that like as amazing as these models and these tools like Make are, this is kind of the worst that's ever going to be because it's just going to continue to get better, which is fascinating and like mind bending all at the same time. Cool. Yeah, we do have, I think we've got a little bit more time. I did want to see if we can address some of these questions coming in that we've seen in the chat. So apologies if Hugh, you've already kind of touched on these, but I'm just going to rattle off a few and anyone can jump in on them. But first one is, can we use Claude to create tokens which can automatically create Figma design variables to then feed back into Figma Make?
So theoretically, maybe. That's getting to like really interesting. So like one of the biggest focuses thus far is let's get our design system into our AI features. So primarily users think about Make. We also have the Assistant product, which is in early alpha right now, which is going to be an AI feature directly in the design canvas. That's another area where design systems are going to be really important. Like bringing design systems to AI, that's step one in my mind. Bringing like the AI back to the design system so that you can actually improve your design system, not manually, but with these amazing models is probably like step two. And so like, I want to say yes at some point in the future without like promising to a specific like launch date, but that's very much where we want to be able to go.
Gotcha. Cool. Let's take a look at another one here. Can Claude view Figma share links? This is interesting. Figma share links so that we can discuss and collaborate on designs with that beyond just screenshots. Yeah.
We can import Figma nodes right now. And
Right.
you do screenshots. You can't just drop in a hyperlink because I don't think we've designed it exactly in that way. So like, yes, you could. Deric, keep me honest here. Like we like theoretically can do the thing that you want to do, just not the way that you want to do it at the moment. So yes and no.
Yeah, I think there's really two ways that you could approach this. So one is that within Figma Make, you can actually copy your design nodes directly from Figma Design and paste them into Make and start working with them that way. But also we have a feature called MCP, and we recently launched Remote MCP. And with MCP integrations, you can actually connect Figma designs to other AI tools, and you can actually paste in links and pull down that design context into whichever tool that you're working with.
Yeah, that's an interesting angle. That MCP is a powerful angle for that. Let's grab like one or two more. Hugh, I think you may have touched on this a little bit earlier, but how can we get closer to inputting full flows into Make rather than just 3 screens? How do we get closer to that, Hugh? Tell me.
I mean, by getting everyone onto Sonnet 4.5 as soon as possible, right? I can make lots of jokes around this. I think this is exactly the type of innovation that we need to see from frontier models in order to be able to unlock that type of capability. This is something that we're already experimenting with on the assistant side, which again, I'm sorry to advertise something that's not open to all users just yet, but we know that designs are not represented by just one frame. Like it's a mix of different features that represent an entire product that someone is building. And so we want to move to that world where it's not piecemeal, it's something holistic.
Yeah, and I think like especially with Claude 4.5, giving the model the ability and the tools to explore different steps in different flows one at a time at a pace that the model wants to, ingest that context is a really interesting direction to pursue now. It's kind of along that line of the frontier models having expanded capabilities.
All right, I think we've got time for one more. Let's see if I can stump you guys on this one. Is Figma going to be changing their API to enable better application integration? For instance, can we write to the artboards of the canvas via Claude? I want to create design systems based on design work outside of Figma. Currently, I'm stuck with plugins for this.
Okay, you definitely stumped me there. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be. Let me think about that, and I'll get back to you maybe. I think the really interesting thing there is about Figma and specifically Make having access to information that lives outside of the Figma ecosystem. That's something we want to make really easy for users to do and to connect, and so you can be able to do that. Dara, I saw you jump in, like if you had more specific thoughts.
Yeah, well, one recommendation I have is Figma actually already has a REST API, which we've had available for quite some time, that you can actually use to write to your Figma files. You can remotely read from them and edit them as well. And you can definitely use AI tools to build your own REST integrations. So Claude would be a great model that you could use for building those. We don't have anything new to announce in this area just yet, but it's a really interesting angle, and I think there's a lot of interesting integrations that could be developed.
Cool. All right. Well, I know we're coming up on the hour, and we've all taken up a lot of your time. Thank you all for joining today, but also thank you to this crew specifically for all the work y'all put in integrating the model, getting it available for everybody. Jeremy on the Anthropic side, thank you so much for pushing over there. And yeah, I am excited to see what everyone makes. So thank you all.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.